Well, hey there. Good evening. It is the FOX6 Sports Blitz on the clock. We'll be talking football right out of the box. In fact, with Brandon Cruz, Lily Zhao, and Tim Van Voort, here's our starting lineup. The change inevitable in the NFL. It may be near for the Packers and a star running back. The Bucs bounce back as they continue to build under Doc Rivers. Future NFL stars make us say what at the Combine. It's nearly tourney time as the regular season winds down in college hoops, and we try to finish off the Blitz with a few strikes on the high school hotshot.
Overall, I think our team is in good shape. I think we have a very strong roster, but nothing's set in stone in this league, and we're going to bring in as many guys as we can to be competitive. And I would imagine that our roster will look a lot different than it did last year, like it always does from year to year, and we're excited about that.
Brian Gutekunst, Packers general manager, standing in exactly the same spot that he was standing a year prior to that at the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis when he still had Aaron Rodgers on his roster. So, my goodness, things have really changed in the Packers world, of course. And for Brian Gutekunst, you think about all that within less than a calendar year. It's really different right now. He's talking about the draft choices, and the Packers should be feeling pretty good about the position they're in. Tom Silverside of JS Online reports that A.J. Dillon will not be back on free agency. I think that's not a huge surprise. Devondre Campbell likely to be gone as well. This is our speculation, not Tom's report. David Bakhtiari likely to be gone is what I would think is going to happen there. And Aaron Jones would be needing to take a pay cut, or they would let him go. What's your take to that?
I think it's a matter of just trying to find the right spot for him, give him other incentives. I do think that they're going to be able to work out a deal with Aaron Jones. I mean, the way the running back market is and the fact of what he means to this team, I do think that they'll be able to come together. I am not too worried about Aaron Jones leaving the Packers. But it is an interesting time for running backs, no matter how good you are in this league. So there is always that chance. But to me, if I was to put money down, I would say Aaron Jones is back with the Packers.
Yeah, if they cut him loose, I don't know where you're going to get more money. That's the situation right now. But described as the heart and soul of this football team, I would think that they're going to get something. I would agree with Brandon.
I would too. I mean, again, just what he means to this team. Brian Gutekunst said he definitely wants him back. It's just a matter of the numbers, right? Trying to get those figured out. But again, just what he brings to this team. The offensive line loves blocking from his teammates, love playing for him. He just carries the G, as we've talked about, his entire career. So he just means a lot to the green and gold. So just a matter of how they can bring him back money-wise just makes most sense, because when you're looking at the draft, yeah, you could pick somebody up with a pick, but you're not going to get the production and that value that you would get with Aaron Jones. So just more of him coming back. What do you add after him, I think, is going to be the key for the Packers at the running back position.
Such a security blanket there, particularly if you don't bring back A.J. Dillon. He knows the offense, no question about it. And with the fresh legs late this past season, he was terrific. Brian Gutekunst has hit on 2 state draft classes by most measures. And he could go a lot of different directions with a lot of picks this year.
I think that's what's exciting about what's going to happen in April when the Packers do start to make their picks. And as we make that progression from this NFL Scouting Combine to the draft, because they have so much strength in so many different places, I think that you're always looking for a good offensive lineman or two. I think you're always looking for an edge rusher. I think this team is looking for strength in the defensive backfield, especially at safety. I do think they'd go more free agency there, but at the same time, they can go anywhere they want, and they always talk about, the best guy on the board. I think that's literally the case for the way this team should be drafting in April, because right now they're strong almost everywhere, or at least strong enough that they don't have to have this huge impact player to make a difference. Obviously, that's what they will be looking for, but to me, it could be anywhere on the field at any time throughout this draft.
And here we're looking at veteran safeties to go with what you talked about there, potential free agency there. I also agree with you. I don't think you're going to have 2 rookie safeties starting. I think you would have a veteran there. I would think the Packers would make a move in some direction there. Antoine Winfield probably will not get to the market, but we shall see. And we'll just see how the Packers slice all that up. Brian Gutekunst has always said draft and development, Lily. As you get to the second round of the playoffs, are you still a draft and develop football team?
Potentially. And when you're looking at key positions, maybe last year, it really was kind of a draft and develop with what they needed. Quarterback, they bring in, they have Jordan Love. You're not going to need that position. But when you're looking at what they do want to add specifically to this team, yeah, you can kind of draft and develop at positions that are already pretty heavy. When you're looking at this current combine, quarterback, receiver, offensive line, very, very deep in those positions. The Packers are well stocked there. So can they potentially add more? Yeah. And Gutekunst said that if they can find those pieces to add to, like the wide receiver room or maybe find another versatile offensive lineman, they will do that. So, maybe you will draft and develop that way just to really beef up rooms that are already deep. But again, I think safety, inside linebacker are kind of be the groups that they're going to dip into in free agency. But you have to like kind of the stock that they're going to have at really key positions at the draft this year if they go that route.
And Brian Gutekunst, I enjoy going to the Combine every year. It was good down there this week, educational as always. He said, we're not really going to draft for scheme. Yes, we have a new defensive coordinator that's a little overrated. You draft the best players to fit in somewhere. In the 4th round, a few years ago, they drafted David Bakhtiari. Became a great player. Is his career over? Is it over in Green Bay?
I think it's over in Green Bay. I think that this is a situation that has really, through these injuries and through the way things have worked out with losing Aaron Rodgers by sending him to New York, I wouldn't be surprised if David Bakhtiari ends up out there. I think that's his best opportunity to maybe try to rehabilitate his career just because of how devastating this knee injury was for him for the past few years. So to me, he's no longer going to be a Packer. Odds are he has a shot with the Jets, maybe somewhere else, but just because of the pull that Aaron Rodgers has out there, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where he ends up.
Do you think the Jets need some offensive line help? I just said this crazy. Hey, speaking of certain positions, it's halftime for us on the FOX6 Sports Blitz. That means it's time for the FOX6 Blitz Insta Poll. You can go to the question by scanning the QR code on the screen, or you can go to fox6.com. And what we have for you tonight, which position should the Packers target in free agency? We're not talking draft here. We're talking free agency. Packers will have some money to spend. Cornerback, defensive end, defensive tackle, linebacker, offensive line, running back, safety, wide receiver. What do you think? We'd like to hear your answers, and we'll put the numbers up before the show's over.
I'd rather close the season having clinched everything a month in advance is what I would rather have, but that's not going to happen. So, it's funny. I just want to close the season healthy, number one. And then us understanding how we have to play to win games.
I'm not sure we saw Doc Rivers smile in his first 5 games, press conferences or so, but he's smiling there. Bucs look a whole lot better. 5 games out of the All-Star break. They've won them, Lily. Their defense has been tightened up. So what's your takeaway on the Bucs?
They're trending upwards, and they still don't have Chris Middleton. So that's a good sign, right? The Bucs kind of being cautious with Middleton because of what he brings to this team, especially if they want to make a deep run here. But I like where the Bucs are at right now. They're back in the 2nd spot in the Eastern Conference because the Knicks knocked off the Cavaliers tonight. But again, the Bucs have a very tough stretch coming up Monday against the Clippers, and they have a West Coast swing. So I think this swing right here will be a really good test to see if the Bucs can implement what they've been doing the last 5 games against quality opponents in the Western Conference. I think if they can prove themselves and get a couple more wins out west, this proves that they are a legitimate NBA title contender. I like the way that the Bucs are playing their defense, and their offense will come along, especially when they do get Middleton back as well. So this Bucs team looks dangerous right now. It's about proving it against really good quality opponents out west.
I've been struck by how drastic the defensive improvement has been. Have they figured it out?
They're definitely on the way to it. I don't know if you can't always judge this team right now because they've had a number of wins against Charlotte recently. And I think that really does help them. But at the same time, when you listen to them, when you watch them, they talk about being on a string on defense. And that has been happening. I mean, they seem to have answered a lot of their critics recently. And now they're in the top 5 in defense over the last couple of weeks. So it is starting to happen. They're starting to buy in. And I think this All-Star break really did help them. I think they were all able to step back, kind of figure out what their role is and how they're able to help the guy next to him. And it is starting to show on the court. It also has now been a month since Doc has taken over as a head coach. So he's had more than a month with these guys. And now everybody is starting to communicate on the same page. They know what the goals are and they know what they're supposed to do on that side of the court. So to me, it is getting a lot better.
It's interesting to me as well because February doesn't matter to this Bucs basketball team in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
And yet this year, February has kind of mattered because they had to turn things around or all the momentum that they had built early in the season would have drifted away.
Exactly. It's kind of a different year for the Bucs in general, right? A lot of different changes happening for this organization, but February really was key for this team to get back on track with a new head coach who came in mid-season trying to really help this team get better, and they needed this month just to really figure things out. They're coming out looking rejuvenated out of the All-Star break, so they needed this month of February to figure things out. Now it's crunch time, March, April. They have to kind of put together a really good stretch run here if they want to kind of keep that that 2-3 spot in the Eastern Conference standings. So again, I think this month of February was very important for this team to figure things out, figure out their defensive identity. They know Giannis can carry the team. They know that Dame can carry the team. Now it's about putting everything else together. Their bench players are playing better as well. They need everybody clicking at the right time, though, if they do want to make a good run. But I think this past month has been important. March will be even more important.
I think you're right that it's a team deal. You need top to bottom on the roster. But is there one player you find yourself watching as kind of the barometer, the way this team plays?
Well, I think we've seen a lot more of Pat Connaughton lately. We've seen him early on in the season. He wasn't always in, or he wasn't in critical times. Now in this month, we have seen Pat Connaughton come in and play at critical times and really start to step up and make a difference. Alongside him is Bobby Portis. We've seen Bobby Portis throughout the year, but he also is starting to really kind of turn things on. And I think those two guys coming off the bench are making a very big key impact to this team right now. And one thing that was very noticeable on Friday night in Chicago, it's the second night of a back-to-back, yet they're winning big and still playing their starters. And I think a big reason for that, and it was mentioned during the game, but is to get these guys used to one another and get that time and that repetition on the court. So when you have those guys coming in, they have time under their belt together doing what Doc Rivers and his staff is trying to implement. And so come playoff time, they will have that experience and those reps to be able to rely on when they need to in those key moments.
And another interesting bench addition is Patrick Beverley. You saw
Yes.
that against the Bulls the other night. He definitely impacts the way the
Too
game
small.
is played. You are going to be at the Clippers game tomorrow night, which is a pretty good tussle. We'll have highlights of that coming up, of course, on Fox 6 News Monday night. We'll have more with the Fox 6 Sports Blitz right around the corner.
Did you find yourself channeling your inner Hulk tonight?
I don't get your question.
I've been rated high as a funny man.
Certainly, you're talking about one of the all-time greats.
Want the Hulk voice or Jan's voice?
That's a good question.
Watching some soap operas.
Okay.
Knowing
If
the
you
news gonna be on.
if you had a dream vacation spot, where you going?
Japan.
Ooh.
I'm gone.
Favorite movie?
Paid in full.
Okay, now favorite movie and your mom is there.
My mom watched those type of movies.
Okay.
A little fun for you over there at the NFL Scouting Combine. What's it like when guys are getting in that moment? Because some guys probably are real business, but these guys seem to take it pretty easy.
And I did ask them, you're having a blast here. Are you feeling any pressure? And I said, yeah, absolutely. We're feeling pressure, too. It's kind of their way to relax a little bit in the midst of all that, because this is the opportunity. It's a big job in audition, basically. It's for their livelihood. You could cost somebody millions of dollars. You could make millions of dollars with the right impression. So I appreciate those guys just kind of letting their hair down a little bit.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Now, talk about a lot of fun. How much fun is this week going to be for Marquette if Tyler Kolek can't play?
Not fun, right? I mean, Tyler Kolek, this team is Tyler Kolek dependent at times. Great effort on Saturday against Creighton, but you're not going to be able to sustain that week in and week out. And obviously the competition this week, pretty darn stiff for the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, they've got UConn, and then they finish up the weekend. So, Lily, this is the last week of the regular season, then conference tournaments the following week. Are you worried at all about where Marquette is at this point going into the Big East tournament?
I would say only worried if the health isn't there. I think if Tyler Kolek and Oso Ighodaro, who was out with an illness, so he could be back, if those guys can come back and this team can be at semi-full strength, I'm not worried about them at all, but I just kind of wanted to see what this team would look like with Tyler Kolek in the lineup against UConn, because, again, the last time the Huskies played them, they kicked Marquette's butt, so to speak. So, we want to see how they respond at home, Fiserv Forum Wednesday night. So that'll be a big barometer game for this team as they go into conference tournament play and, of course, into March Madness as well. So not too concerned unless the health isn't there.
This isn't the NFL where we get fairly decent updates on a player's health. An oblique injury, those can linger.
Right, and a player like Tyler Kolek, who's going to take some hits in the course of a game, and who really is a reactionary player, so you don't want anything kind of nagging at you right there. So yes, there's no question that's something to focus on here. And it is what it is. Shaka Smart says it's early March. This is not a good time for this.
It is, and it's not a good time for the Wisconsin Badger program right now. They continue to lose, dropping one at home to Illinois. Is this team getting out of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament?
With how they're playing right now, no. It's just going to be really tough. I mean, this is a team that they're fighting, they're clawing, they're playing Illinois, who's a really good team, and Marcus and Mass from Maupon just really put put it on him. 31 points against Wisconsin. They couldn't defend him, but when it comes down to it, Wisconsin's defense has really struggled. And then when the three-point shooting isn't there as well, and guys kind of look confused on the defensive end, it's just not a good recipe for success. And I think they really have to prove it this week when they end the regular season playing Purdue and West Lafayette. That's going to be a big game for this team, but also how do they respond in the Big Ten tournament? Because if they're playing the way they're playing right now, it's an early exit for them in March.
Well, they did have a lot of inspiration in that game because the emotions were really high inside the Kohl Center on Saturday. Howard Moore returning to Madison, the former Badgers assistant coach, receiving a standing ovation. This coming almost 5 years after his wife and daughter were killed in a car accident. Moore was also seriously injured in that crash. His son Jarrell spoke from the court, thanking the crowd and university for the support his family has been given. An amazing scene there, and most people were tearing up because it was so emotional to see his return to the Kohl Center. Well, it's time to check in on our Instapoll question. Remember, you can go directly to that by scanning this code or going to our website, fox6now.com. Which position should the Packers target in free agency? And overwhelmingly, you are saying in the defensive backfield, either at safety or cornerback. We'll still have more of your answers coming up later in the show. When we come back, we have our high school hotshot.
Welcome back. She manages the lanes as well as the water, all while also managing a metabolic disorder. That's why this senior is this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
Hi, I'm Allison Bolda. I'm a senior at Waterford High School, and I'm on the high school bowling team. My older sister actually started bowling at a bowling alley near my house, and they kind of just signed me up one time, and I started bowling, and I loved it ever since. I think it's just how competitive the sport is. I see myself as a very competitive person. Since I've been doing it for so long, my love and passion for the sport has just grown so much. I also want to go in college competitively. I actually want to go to school for elementary education, and then through that school, I would also do NCAA bowling. So I wanted to be an underwater welder before I wanted to be a teacher. My counselor said that it's like the biggest jump that she's seen in career changes. I was like, yeah, I know. So PKU is pretty much a metabolic disorder where the person is missing the enzyme to break down protein. I do have PKU, take medicine for it, and if you look at me, you wouldn't realize that I had a metabolic disorder. It's called phenylketonuria. I think that's right. So I'm allowed 7 grams of protein a day, where the normal person takes in about 400 to 600 grams of protein a day. Over the summer, I do water skiing, Browns Lake Aqueducts. I'm in ballet line. I base some of the pyramids. I kneeboard actually on the team, which is pretty cool. And then I help out with the junior show team. We also have an adaptive ski element that I help out with. It's always super fun because all of the people with the disabilities and stuff always have such a great time because they actually get a chance to water ski. I'm in choir at school. I've been in choir all 4 years. I do love music too. It's always been a part of my life. I did band for the longest time. I do like being in front of people to an extent. I can be in front of people and like perform in front of people. I just can't talk in front of people. I'm Allison Bolda. I'm a senior at Waterford, and I'm on the bowling team. I'm this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
Now, Allison also received the Water Ski Spirit Award that recognizes unselfish character and positive attitude reflective of the young lady it was named for. Meanwhile, her bowling team also qualified for state yet again. They finished in 7th place. And speaking of state, the St. Mary Springs boys hockey team captured another D2 state title. The Ledgers taking down defending champ New Richmond 6-2 to earn their 3rd championship since 2020. Austin Westergaard scoring twice with 5 different Springs players fighting the back of the net. Meanwhile, Brookfield East also earning runners-up honors in Division I. Congrats to all the boys hockey teams and girls hockey teams this season. We'll be right back.
You have spoken, or maybe clicked on, but safety is what you're saying the Packers ought to do in terms of getting into the free agent market in the NFL. We'll see what Brian Gutekunst feels. For Lily and Brandon, I'm Tim. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you again next Sunday night.